ladies and gentlemen, whether you like it or not.
I want the cocks cut in two and then filleted, in that order. Thank you, Mummy. I love you. Now give my loathing to the Sultan. Greetings, gentle viewers! Since this is the last episode of the season, and as per tradition, well, it's gotta happen more than twice to be a tradition really, but still, what the fuck. Since this is the last episode of the season, we are gonna watch a kids movie! Biggles, Adventures in Time. Brief history lesson. Biggles is a classic British literary adventure character. The closest thing to an American equivalent would probably be Flash Gordon. Here, he has the honour of playing second fiddle in his own movie. He's a mix of classic British what? Upper-class tough and complete badass in the sort of way that was fairly common in fiction until about 50 years ago. Biggles is a classic character, even though he's a lot less popular than he once was. Over about 150 books, he fought in pretty much every British war engagement between World War I and the late 60s, and like all good British characters, he managed to kill several thousand foreigners along the way. If you're familiar with the name, the chances are it's not because of the books, but because you've seen Monty Python sketches like this.
Take a letter.
Yes, Senor Biggles.
Don't call me Senor the Biggles, or Group Captain Biggles, or Mary Biggles if I'm dressed as my wife. But never Senor.
Sorry?
I've never even been to Spain.
You went to Ibiza last year.
That's still not grounds for calling me Senor, or Don Biggles for that matter.
The Pythons loved them some Biggles. Now, with all that out of the way, prepare yourself for Biggles' Adventures in Time. Like all films set in mid-80s London and France in 1917, we open on the skyline of New York. At least the theme music's awesome. So, in New York, we see a guy in a red jacket being stalked in a dark alley by Peter Cushing. Yes, that's Peter Cushing. It's not enough that it's dark, the guy's alone, and he's being followed by a horror icon, and there's a fucking black cat there. They also felt the need to add ominous music. That's the sort of thing you hear in a poorly made Friday the 13th sequel. Okay, with this build-up, this better be good.
Yes? Can I help you?
May I be so bold as to inquire if you are all right?
They hire an iconic horror actor, they give him a scary theme, they dress him up in black, they give him a black cat to follow him around, and they have him follow a man home at night. And then they have him ask if he's alright. Come on, this guy blew up Alderaan! But he's not finished there. Oh no.
Do you have the correct time?
That's the worst build-up to payoff ratio I've seen since Bone Kickers! At least the build-up was comparatively short this time. So the guy, Jim Ferguson, played by Alex Hyde White, who you might not remember from this. That was funny because he thought it was a real movie. Because it's the 1980s, Ferguson works for a TV dinners company or something, and he's writing a speech.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name's Jim Ferguson, and as president of Celebrity Dinners, it gives me the greatest pleasure to welcome you here today and celebrate with us the unveiling of our first ever line of TV star dinners.
God no like your writing, Ferguson. Oh, isn't that charming? The lightning was high up in the building, and yet he was on the ground floor. So Ferguson is struck by lightning and finds himself standing in a muddy field. I must remember that the next time I try to climb a lightning rod in a thunderstorm. And he sort of stands there until a plane almost crashes on him.
Lend a hand. I'm in a bit of a pinch here, old man.
Oh, hello, British understatement. This is Neil Dixon, star of a certain series with a she-wolf in London, loved by a certain she-wolf in Arizona. He's playing the titular Biggles. Now, for some of you, this might be a mind-bending experience because in most films, the upper-class British guy is the wussy villain. In this, he's the badass who could take down an entire army by himself. Anyway, Ferguson helps Biggles free from his plane and they run away while the plane is blown up. I should probably mention that we're suddenly in 1917, because lightning does that. Watch.
Mistress, one of our agents found this in the archive at the museum. It's from 1917.
Dear mistress, it's cold in the past and there are wolves after me. I want to come home. Love, Minion Bob. Take this. Kill him.
Mistress, we found another letter in the archives. It says, Minion Bob and I have decided to get married and live in Guam.
In Guam in 1917. Oh, they're probably dead. Nuke Guam anyway.
Yes, mistress.
Now, how did I have a time travel lightning strike indoors? Alistair will explain. Hello, ladies. Look at your boyfriend. Now back to me. Now back to your boyfriend. Now back to me. He's not me. But wearing a hat like this, he could look like me. Look at your boyfriend who doesn't look like me. Now back to me. I've grown a beard. Look at your boyfriend. Has he grown a beard? No, but if he had grown a beard, he could look like me. Look at my hand. I have fingers. Does your boyfriend have fingers? Look at your boyfriend. Now back to me. I'm fucking Basil. He's in America and I'm not. So how am I doing it? Because I'm me. Well, hope that clears everything up. So the Germans, who are miles away, blow up the plane in one shot, somehow, and Ferguson hands Biggles his company card, and Biggles assumes he's an American soldier.
I heard you chaps were coming over. Uniforms on the way, I suppose.
34th Pizza Making Airborne. So the Germans bomb Ferguson, and this sends him
Back to the future!
Note to self, bombing people sends him into the future, and given how many people I've bombed, I should be very afraid. So the next morning, Ferguson goes into work and discovers that a fat guy working for him is trying to add the softest of softcore 80s PG-rated porn to the cover of a new line of TV dinners that they're doing. Because when people want crappy, easy-to-cook food, they also want porn. And I love the random, distracting Arnie cutout in the background.
Looks almost good enough to eat, huh?
Looks fantastic. Type these up, would you, and let me have a quick look before they go.
Oh hey, a fat guy who can't stop himself eating a TV dinners display.
This isn't funny!
And Peter Cushing is back, having got past security and is standing around in his black hat with his ominous soundtrack. He begins questioning Ferguson about what happened. He knows that he went back in time, but he doesn't know if he saved Biggles.
Did you rescue the pilot?
Which is stupid, because if Biggles had died, then Peter Cushing's memories of him would have changed, and therefore he would have known he was dead, and therefore he wouldn't have come looking for Ferguson in the first place, and Ferguson wouldn't have gone back in time in the first place, and he wouldn't have saved Biggles, and Biggles would be dead anyway, so Biggles wouldn't be able to tell Peter Cushing about what's going on, and...
Oh no, I've gone cross-eyed.
I suggest you don't worry about this sort of thing and just enjoy yourself. That goes for you all, too.
Yes.
So Peter Cushing asks him about the camera on Biggles' plane. It was destroyed in the explosion. So Cushing tells him that he's going to be sent back in time again because he knows that his mission in the past includes making sure Biggles gathers reconnaissance on a new German superweapon. So who is Peter Cushing? How does he know what's going on? Why is he being followed by his own villainous soundtrack? He only answers one of those questions.
Commander Raymond.
He then leaves, telling Ferguson to look him up in London before he'll tell him anything else.
You must come to London.
London?
Why? No, I'm serious. Why? Peter Cushing! Why? I know why the film needs him to be in London. Biggles is a British literary institution, and not having London appear in the film is a bit like doing The Wizard of Oz and not featuring Kansas. Oh, fuck off! So why do you need for him to be in London for you to give him more info? Did you only pay for 2 nights at the hotel? I am sure Ferguson would let you crash on his floor if you told him exactly what was going on. You're not going to answer me, are you? Minion, kill Peter Cushing!
He's already dead, mistress.
Well, then you get a raise, don't you?
Woo!
So that night at the launch of the new TV dinners, some guest woman notices the bite taken out of the piece of chicken by the fat guy. I noticed they took the bite first thing in the morning, and it's now evening, and the food is currently so warm that it's steaming, indicating that the fat guy took a bite out of a raw chicken leg. Ferguson then gets struck by lightning again and finds himself in the past.
You again?
Indoor lightning in front of witnesses. What do you want to bet that no one goes to the media? So Ferguson's in the back of Biggles' plane and we get the first look at our villain. Recognize him? Replace the coat with armour and a sword. This, dear nerds, is Marcus Gilbert, more famous for his roles as King Arthur in Army of Darkness and Ancelyn, one of King Arthur's knights in the classic Doctor Who serial Battlefield. I think that makes him the world's only Arthurian actor. Gilbert's basically the Red Baron but in a white plane. Or the White Baron. Racist cuntrag. Then we get the least appropriately scored World War I dogfight in film history.
I'm sorry. They got us.
Funny to think that just 3 years earlier their idea of an aerial dogfight was to fly over each other and drop bricks. So Biggles outflies the White Baron and he sends a signal to the Germans to use their secret weapon.
Rote Flamme.
Selfish!
So they get a photo just before the Germans fire the weapon, which looks like stock footage of some sort of a radar, even though there was no radar at this point. It makes stock laser sound effects, but fires nothing. Oh my god, they're making the camera shake! No, stop that! So they climb above the range of the blast. The camera, for no logical reason possible, decides to try and slide off the wing, so Biggles has to go to save it, handing Ferguson the controls.
Walden, will you stop arsing about and get back in the cockpit?
I'll take over now.
This is bad comedy.
So they land, and Ferguson falls out of the plane and finds himself
Back to the future.
where he immediately runs off to London, and I'm convinced that at least one of these guests should sell the story of indoor lightning disappear, reappear covered in soot guy to the Weekly World News. Actually, that's too weird for them. Photos of heaven is one thing, but that? So Ferguson arrives in London.
Sure glad that wasn't our plane.
And Peter Cushing lives in Tower Bridge. Makes perfect sense. Christopher Lee lives in the Tower of London, and before he died, George C. Scott's cock lived in the Washington Monument. So he goes up one of the towers that Tower Bridge is named after, and a man in his 70s is supposed to live up there. How the fuck is he supposed to get up there on a daily basis? And before you say, ooh, there's a lift, there's no fucking lift, and the only way we see someone leaving this building is by abseiling.
I've been expecting you, Mr. Ferguson.
Yes, Mr. Ferguson, my army of cats and other evil woodland creatures informed me of your every move. So Cushing explains that he was Biggles' commanding officer and was given information about Ferguson by Biggles, which would suggest that Biggles survived, so why the concern? Now, in most cases, young Peter Cushing would be a character in this film, but not this one, though it's probably for the best. Who am I kidding? Peter Cushing was born elderly.
Evacuate? In our moment of triumph? I think you overestimate their chances.
Anyway, Ferguson doesn't believe him.
Time travel is not unknown in history.
So Peter Cushing starts asking questions that he should really know the answers to, because this is a fucking predestination paradox, and then Cushing gives him a World War I uniform and a bunch of authentic era weaponry as to blend in the next time he finds himself in the past. Unfortunately, the fact that his authentic World War I weaponry includes an Uzi is never addressed, which is a real pity, because what the fuck? Peter Cushing wasn't just expecting Ferguson, but he has a room already rented for him at the hotel near his house. Clearly, Peter Cushing is a dick who had the money to stay in New York, but chose to make Ferguson travel halfway across the world for the lols. Well played, Peter Cushing. Also, he already had a room rented. I think Peter Cushing might belong to that same gang of extremely rich fuckheads in Emmanuel 4. Meanwhile, back in New York, the lens flares of spring are in full bloom.
I really don't understand what made him act like that.
Psychosis, trauma. Says so right here.
Side effects include indoor lightning strikes, vanishing and suddenly reappearing looking like he spent a week living inside a coal mine. So Ferguson gets into the uniform and waits for the next time jump.
Oh, excuse me, sir, I didn't see you there. I'll come back later.
Yeah, because LARPing is so fucking funny. So Ferguson decides to take a shower and oh, that zany time travel timing. Say it.
Symbolism.
Louder!
Symbolism.
Louder!
Symbolism.
Louder!
Symbolism.
Better. Better. So Ferguson gets captured by Biggles' elite Effete Commando team and tries to convince them that he's an American secret agent.
I'm an American secret agent.
Why are you wearing a towel?
It's a tough universe. There's all sorts of people and things trying to do you, kill you, rip you off, everything. If you're going to survive out there, you've really got to know where your towel is.
So they meet up with Biggles and dress Ferguson up as a nun. This already sounds like the start of a Monty Python sketch. Turns out that they're 10 miles behind enemy lines. They're there to meet Biggles' contact, who's a former lover of his. British literary war characters always have girlfriends behind enemy lines. Biggles, Sharp, Hornblower. Sharp is Biggles with no plane and is fighting Napoleon. Hornblower is Biggles with a name that suggests that he likes to suck dick and is on a boat, which also suggests that he likes to suck dick. Hornblower is Biggles if you like to suck dick. And all three of them have girlfriends behind enemy lines. They always end up dead, too.
You know each other?
Yes. We've met.
Yeah, she's dead. Unfortunately, the Germans arrive.
Germans everywhere.
They've got us trapped. Captain Erich von Starline.
The famous Biggles. At last we meet.
Finally, the two greatest gentlemen flyers in the world meet. Two men of honor who are jousted together in the cloud-strewn glory of the skies, are face to face at last. How often I have rehearsed this moment of destiny in my dreams. The valor be to encapsulate the unspoken nobility of our comradeship.
To the gods of war.
To peace.
I would rather finish you myself. In the air, the firing squad will not be nearly as enjoyable.
But far less likely to botch the job.
For that arrogance, I shall see you dead.
Achtung! Fertig!
So Ferguson uses his electric razor to convince the Germans that there's a grenade, leaving archaeologists who will one day find that electric razor very confused. Insert your own Bone Kickers reference here.
Don't you move now! Stay there!
Tell her not to move, or you'll be the first to sprout wings.
But Steyler!
I'm not going to put a bullet in your head, old boy, because that's not the way we do business.
Then however did you manage to win the war? So Biggles and the guys escape and Ferguson ends up back in the present day. His girlfriend and the fat guy have arrived from the States. They take his appearance well.
Transvestite bank robber. That's not even in the book.
This is Dr. Charles Winthrop Dinsmore in the lobby. I'm a psychiatrist from New York City. One of my patients is staying with you, and I'm afraid I need a little help with him. If you could arrange an ambulance, I'd be most grateful. He's in room 1231. Oh, and a couple of good, strong attendants, too.
Is your patient dangerous?
Of course not. No, he's just a little confused. He's wearing a nun's dress and has a gun.
Did you say a gun?
Yeah, just a normal big gun.
Yeah, fat guy, you're committing a major type of fraud. So Ferguson tells his girlfriend all about what's going on, and what a shock, she thinks he's insane. He then gets struck by lightning and she grabs a hold of him. Because even if he's not going back in time, that is so smart. And so they're now both in the past. Biggles and all find them immediately and express less than no surprise that Ferguson is turned up randomly and in less than appropriate clothing yet again.
It's the American chap. Good God!
Captain Bigglesworth, this is Debbie Stevens, my nurse.
They're not too happy to see a woman there, but they decide to take her with them on their commando raid to the German superweapon. Getting there takes enough time for the audience to wonder why an elite squad of airmen are getting used as a ground-level commando squad. And the soundtrack farts at us.
This is it. We're on a Blanche Fleur.
And no, they never explain why the time travel's happening. So it takes them 10 minutes to walk to the German superweapon test facility. Now, I know this sounds like the special weapons testing ground is stupidly close to the front lines, but remember how little that the front line moved in World War I.
Look, this is the amount of land we've recaptured since yesterday.
Oh, excellent.
What is the actual scale of this map, darling?
1 to 1, sir.
So they arrive at the test facility, and it appears that it's been cunningly located in Hiroshima circa 1945.
Looks like this town is nuked.
Hey, that's my joke! Don't make me come in there, Ferguson! So they're at the weapons test facility to get reconnaissance before it's used against their forces, even though the weapon's been used on Biggles while he was in the air, twice. They're either testing the weapon on some dummies, or they've captured an elite Auton commando squad. It could happen. Peter Cushing, time travel, the pointless heat of London. I'm surprised that the fucking Daleks haven't turned up yet. So they get captured, and by way of the woman being irritating, they manage to escape.
Yeah, I'm an American citizen. You have no right to treat me this way. Doesn't anybody speak English? Please, somebody call the American embassy.
The last time someone tried to get out of my dungeon by saying, "I'm an American citizen," I released all of their cellmates and drowned them in their own shit.
In that case, I also have my mace.
So they escape, get to safety as the weapon goes off, and... Oh, a Dalek heat ray. Why am I not surprised? So after the weapon stopped firing, Biggles finds out that one of the Germans has become a dead albino and turned artillery into papier-mâché. So what does the woman do when she comes across a dead German's face?
That woman is an idiot.
Do any of you recall Biggles' plane turning into papier-mâché or Biggles melting when they used the heat ray on him earlier? Twice? No? Good, because I don't either! So they come across a live German about 20 feet away. Apparently, even though the weapon can fire at planes, it only has a range of 20 feet. So the German takes a shot and misses, and Biggles hides, even though he's in the German sight the whole time. The Brits go off to deal with the Germans when more attack, and Ferguson finds himself back in the present. What's more amazing, the fact that Ferguson's okay with killing 10 guys in the past, or the fact that he managed to hit exactly no one in the present? So a helicopter with armed cops follows Ferguson, and who should appear but Biggles?
Where'd you come from? I have no idea.
That whole in time, it keeps happening to me.
Sure, why not? So, through expert use of Assassin's Creed LARPing, my name is James Bigglesworth, and I am an assassin. And thanks to some stealth punks, they get past the cops and onto Tower Bridge. Because one group that are never ever stopped by cops are gangs of punks! So they get into Tower Bridge and... You've given Peter Cushing a raven? Stop trying to convince us that he's the fucking villain, because he's clearly not! It's as though they had the script written and then hired Peter Cushing without any idea of who they'd get him to play. He's too old to be the bad guy, so they gave him the only old man part in the script. And then they try to convince the audience that he's a bad guy in every single way possible except for actually rewriting the script to make him the bad guy. Why? Because Peter Cushing plays bad guys. So Biggles and Cushing talk about how even though we never saw young Peter Cushing, he's honestly Biggles' friend and commanding officer.
Time we were off. There's cops everywhere. Anybody got an idea how we get out of here?
Climbing equipment. Climbing equipment? Why does he have it there? Okay, bone kickers having it in their back of their van is one thing, because they're adventure archaeologists and all that shit. But this guy, this is his living room. He's like 90. Did his great-great-great-grandchildren leave it there? And you know, abseiling down an internationally recognised London landmark? Subtle. What the fuck is that? So they abseil down, run about 30 feet, and find the police helicopter just sitting by itself. Biggles then flies it away. Now, I'd bitch about Biggles being able to fly a helicopter, but he's Biggles. He's meant to be the greatest pilot in human history, so you get a pass.
It's an entirely different kind of flying, altogether.
It's an entirely different kind of flying.
Oh, fuck off! Hole in time again, and both of them and the helicopter end up in World War I, even though when Biggles was taken to the future, he was taken right from his plane.
Hey, what happened to you?
I was in my plane. The Huns have overrun our trenches.
So they're back in the past, where of course they get into a fight with the White Baron. Remember earlier when I commented on the least appropriately scored World War I dogfight of all time? Well, listen to this. Manfred von fucking Richthofen is spinning in his grave! No, really, I dug him up and I installed a motor. So they fly into the sound weapon with the helicopter's microphone hanging on its speaker, meaning that every bit of sound that the weapon fires at them will be fired right back at it, which is great, except the helicopter should be turning into meringue and falling out of the sky right about now. And the less said about that light show, the better. So, Boom and Biggles' crack team of Percy, Algie and Ginger. Stop giggling. All British World War I airmen had cute dog names. They all walk to the convent, which is 10 miles behind enemy lines, and decide to take on all of the Germans who were there.
I say, would you chaps consider surrendering?
Oh, sorry about that. We're not used to seeing British people kill things. Wait a sec. So Biggles and Ferguson turn up, the Germans think the helicopter's a dragon or something and run off, the White Baron turns up and shoots Biggles' girlfriend. I so called it. And the soundtrack's so kind to feel the grief for us. Hey Biggles, the guy who shot her's still flying around up there. He's got guns and everything. He could shoot all of you, you know, just bang. You could all die. Just saying. Biplanes blew up like that. So yay, the war can continue for another year and claim a bunch more lives. Ferguson ends up back in the future, and apparently being friends with Peter Cushing can get you off the hook for shooting at people. So Ferguson immediately gets married to the woman, and the fat guy, who should be in jail for fraud, is the best man, even though he's a dickhead who pretended to be a psychiatrist to get Ferguson committed. Oh hey, a fat guy is so obsessed with food he gets the ring messed up with sweets. That's not funny. Oh hi racism, it's been like one review.
Quick, untie us. Get us out of here before they start realizing you're not a god, you're just an American.
Okay, that's one of the best lines ever. So the racist caricatures can't even throw spears straight, and Biggles and Ferguson and all run down a corridor, which is clearly the same one used to get to the German superweapon, and...
Hey, Biggles, where are we going? Come on, Ferguson!
And that's pretty much that. This film is fun, I guess, by itself, but as a depiction of World War I or the literary character, it's just not that.
Yes, it is.
No umbrella? Good! It hurt a lot more than that fucking gun. Why are you here? It's been days since my last awful joke.
They're all awful. All of them. Every moment you live, it's like having Zyklon B injected directly into my eyes.
Hey, they're not all awful. I think you're getting obsessive. Why else would you come all the way over here? Unless you want to fuck me. And no, by the way, I won't.
Oh, I'm not just here for me. I'm here for all of those people you made review horrific things. Half Past Dead, The Core, Bitch Slap.
Hey! Bitch Slap was good!
All those poor bastards from the Russian Roulette Reviews wanted me to get you to review Police Academy 7, Mission to Moscow.
That's a really shit film.
It's a state of being so devoid of humour that even I can't feel its presence. It's like a black hole, sucking all humour into it. I can't even make you sit through that.
Well, thanks.
So I got the police to attack your compound, and if you had been in Afghanistan at the time, you would have had a full-scale revolt in your hands.
You did that? I'm gonna fucking kill you until you fucking die from it!
But the attack failed. You somehow escaped, so I needed a new plan. And I got a gun from someone who really hates you.
You think a gun can kill a god?
No, but it helps. No, to kill a god, I've got some help. Oh, boys! The Strident Atheists. Richard Dawkins, world-famous biologist and polite destroyer of religious belief. Christopher Hitchens, intellectual giant of the left and right and angry terror of theism. And finally, P.Z. Myers, who's known only by the people who read his blog.
It's a very popular blog!
Teddy, get rid of these mental cast-offs.
I think not, Mr. West. What? I've decided. I'm an atheist now. You will not live to regret this. I have killed mothers with their babies, great philosophers, proud young warriors and revolutionaries. I have killed the good, the evil, the weak, the intelligent, and the beautiful. I have done all this in the service of me, mostly, and I have never once shown any mercy.
Are you done?
Never!
Do it. I've been waiting a long time to say this. Teddy, burn that.
People from all walks of life are on their way to Reviewtopia, Internet's city of the future. Our scientists have been working around the clock to bring you the absolute finest in handcrafted reviews, humor, and entertainment to please the eyes and ears of every man, woman, and child. Everything you need will be found right here in Reviewtopia. Operators are standing by to reserve your spot and keep you in touch with our team of reviewers. Blast off into the future of internet reviewing entertainment at Reviewtopia!